Hello to all of my Clarenceville students. Today is March 16th, 2020, the fourth day of our, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know if you want to call it a break, a scare, a distraction, a monkey wrench. Historical perspective for what it is. It will be interesting what the history books call what is going on, but obviously, these are difficult circumstances and circumstances where we are not going to see each other for some time. So I wanted to communicate with all of you. And first and foremost, I hope everybody's doing okay. I miss seeing everybody, and I hope this video finds everyone healthy and happy and all that good stuff. I also want to let you know what's going on with Mr. Brian. Now, Mr. Brian was abruptly pulled from his placement by the University of Michigan out of precaution, and I just got off the phone with him a little bit ago, and he wishes everybody well and valued his experience at Clarenceville. And even though his time there was abridged, I think he learned a lot, and I think he'll be a good teacher at the next level. He will visit as soon as he is able to make contact with students and say his goodbyes and all of that, but who knows what that date will be. Who knows what's going to happen in the weeks ahead. But I do know that he enjoyed his time. I appreciate all of you helping make his time a positive experience as a student teacher, and hopefully we see him sooner than later, and we can say our goodbyes and wish him well. Also, for the students who wish to work during this time off, a friendly reminder that both classes are on the Moodle pages. This one, 271, is the philosophy page. We ended off in lesson 21 in the ethics unit, and the history page is 174, and we ended off on day 112, the French Revolution. A friendly reminder that there are videos at the end of every class, so if your parents want you to keep working, you can use those, and I'm very open to whatever you have to do or need to do. Contact me by text or by my email, anthonysalsiccioli@gmail.com is my personal one, or the work email that you all have. But again, feel free to contact me anytime. Now, if you know me at all, I try to look at the world with social studies eyes. It's what I do. And as difficult as this time has been, I appreciate the fact that it illuminates that social studies really matter, and the stuff that we have been trying to teach you, I think you are seeing it firsthand. So for instance, claim assessment, to look at a claim in terms of your intuition, your authority, your logic, and evidence. Right now we are trying to figure out, who do I listen to? Historiography, who is a good source? Do I listen to the CDC? Do I listen to Fox News? Do I listen to my uncle? Do I listen to some random site I've seen online? With this coronavirus, we are really looking at claims better than I think we have in the past, if I can glean anything positive from what's going on. Obviously, economics. If you've been grocery shopping, holy cow, you can see supply and demand firsthand. How are markets going to keep up? What's going to happen economically as the stock market falls, and the service industries that just got shut down a couple minutes ago, the bars and restaurants? How does that affect people and the state and the country economically? In terms of sociology, looking at the behavior of groups, it's very interesting to see how people are reacting and behaving to all of these crazy circumstances that are coming up. And on an individual level, psychologically, what coping mechanisms are people implementing to get through this? What is the psychology? Is it hysteria? I mean, how are people coping with the slings and arrows of what's going on the psychological level? History. I've had people come up to me and they would ask me, is this similar to what happened with polio in the 40s and 50s? Or how did the Great Depression pan out when the economy went south? Do we have the potential to go back to those years on a world history level? How does this compare to the pandemics of the past? These are historical questions. Now, government and civics. As in civics, how do I behave as a citizen in general, but even more so during these trying times, and then government. So what power does Clarenceville have as a local institution compared to what Governor Whitmer says in terms of what we have to do as a state for the federal mandates, and President Trump and Congress, who is dictating this, even on an international level, a geopolitical level? What international initiatives are going to have to take place to combat coronavirus? And philosophy, which is near and dear to me, if you know me at all, I think it's important to have a philosophy. I think it's important to be able to put this in a broader perspective and have some sort of philosophical armor to contend with what's going on. And I want to leave you with a very simple story. There's versions of this story in several cultures with different twists, but the moral remains the same. And it's the story of the reed and the oak tree, which was an Aesop fable. It has an Eastern version, but here's the story, simple, and I think it applies well here. So there's a storm, maybe the worst storm anybody had ever seen, and lightning and wind and commotion and calamity. And there was a father and a son who took shelter, waited the storm out, and were very scared as it's going on. But the storm does pass, and they're okay. And the next morning, they awake to assess the damage of this storm. And the father asks the son, what do you observe, first and foremost? What do you see? And the obvious thing was an enormous, huge oak tree had fallen from the storm. And the son goes, well, look at that enormous tree, that huge, powerful tree. It fell. That storm was so bad it knocked that over. And the father acknowledges it and goes, yeah, most definitely. But what has survived the storm? And the son looks around and sees the reeds or the cattails, and they're fine. They're intact after the storm. And the father poses the question to the son, why is it that the oak tree falls and the reed remains? And the simple answer is the oak tree is rigid and the reed is flexible. And during these times, flexibility, it's going to be paramount to get through this. So to wrap up, Mr. Bryan wishes you well. I wish you well. I'm seeing a lot of social studies and what's going on. This subject matters and gives me a lot to talk about. And I would suggest that you be flexible with things and accept things for what they are, and try to stay positive and supportive. Help your family, help your friends, and this will pass, and we will resume some normalcy, hopefully very soon. Contact me anytime, and I appreciate you watching this and hope to see you all soon.